Hey guys, Susan Thomas here, and today I want to teach you how to form shapes out of wire. Okay, so I really like to take heavier gauge wires and make shapes out of them, like leaves and kites and circles, so that I can make different types of jewelry, like big hoop earrings or big pendants that you can wire wrap lots of different stones onto. So I think it's a really fun thing to know how to do, so you can change up what you can do when you're making your jewelry. So follow along, and I think you'll really like this skill. Now you're gonna need some tools, and of course, as always, you're gonna need your basics. You'll need a round nose plier. You will need a chain nose plier, and you will need a flush cutter. Absolutely have to have those. Now I also like to have a flat nose plier when I'm doing this type of skill. And then other metalworking tools that are very helpful: chasing hammer and a bench block, and that's for dapping, hardening, and reshaping your wire. And then of course your handy rawhide hammer. And then it's also nice to have some mandrels, like a ring mandrel is good for shaping wire, and also a bracelet mandrel is really great for shaping wire. And then finally, I love to have specialty tools to make different shapes, and I'm going to use this one today. It is a triangle mandrel. Cool, right? I'm going to use this to show you how to make a kite out of wire. So that's a lot of fun to have as well. And then as far as supplies are concerned, you're just going to need some heavier gauge wire. I'm going to use 16 gauge today because it's nice and heavy and it really holds its shape when you make it into these larger kind of loopy shapes. 16 gauge, 18 gauge, 14 gauge, those are the best gauges to use to make these types of shapes. All right, so we're just going to start out with a basic shape. We're going to make a hoop, because to me, hoop earrings are just my absolute favorite thing to wear. They're classic, everybody loves them. So I'll show you how to do that first, just using this wire. So I'm gonna pull off some 16 gauge wire, and I'm gonna pull off a pretty good amount. I'm gonna take about a foot of wire. What I'm gonna do is just cut that with my flush cutter, like so. And then I'm gonna use my bracelet mandrel. This is a round mandrel. You see how it's round all the way around? And one of the things that's almost impossible to do when you're making jewelry is to make a circle. A perfect circle. I could try, but it's not going to be very pretty. So it's great to use something like this to form your shape. And also, these are fun because they're graduated, so I could make a small hoop, or I could come all the way down here at the bottom and make really big hoops. So I'm just going to take this right here, kind of up towards the top of the mandrel, and I'm just going to overlap my wires on either side, like so. And I'm holding it tight to the mandrel to keep that shape. Usually when I do this, I do two at the same time so that they're exactly the same size, or close to exactly the same size, since I would be maybe making a pair of hoop earrings and I would like them to be the same size. So I'm just holding that right there on my mandrel and just not leaving any space or air between the mandrel and my hoop. And then I'm going to grab one of these pieces of wire and I'm going to bend it out into an angle, like so. So I'm going to take that off so you can see what I've done. A really nice circle there. And then I've got my two pieces of wire. This is going to end up being a hoop at the top, or a little loop at the top to hang it off something. And this piece is what I'm going to use to finish this off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, remember I said I like to use flat nose pliers? You can use chain nose pliers to do this, but I like to use flat nose personally. It's definitely a personal preference. I'm just going to hold on to my wires right here and take this piece of wire and wrap it around the other piece of wire a couple times, like so. And then I'm just going to take that and squeeze that in, just like that. And let me get that around to the back, because I want to trim it off at the back. So just take your flush cutter and trim off the extra wire, and use that flat nose or chain nose plier to squish that down in the back. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to bend it off to the side, like so, because I want to make a little loop at the top, because this is going to be a hoop earring eventually. And so I'm just going to cut this about 3/8 of an inch long, and I'm going to take my round nose plier and just roll that into a circle. Let me get that a little bit more centered. Ta-da! So you see you have two of those and you have a cute little pair of hoop earrings. All right, so that was easy. if you want to, what you can do, like say like it maybe isn't quite as round as you want, you can put it back onto your mandrel, hammer it out with your rawhide hammer like so, and make it a little bit more circular. And then if it's a little bit wavy, like I think this one's a little bit wavy, you can put it on your bench block and take your rawhide hammer or even your chasing hammer and just kind of shape that up like so. Okay, so that's easy, right? Lots of fun. You could make tons of things. You can hang things off of these. You can wrap things on them. Really just a fun, easy, classic shape. Now, next up, I'm going to show you how to make a leaf shape. And so I'm just going to grab about a foot of wire again. And I'm going to take my flat nose plier and I'm going to bend this in half right in the center. So I bent that in half. And then I'm just going to squeeze those two pieces together. And I like to squeeze it into a pretty good point. I'm going to take my flat nose plier and I'm just going to squeeze down at the bottom. And to me, the tighter you squeeze it, the better it looks, the more it looks pointy at the bottom. Okay, so now this is what you've got. Basically just a piece of wire folded in half. And then I'm just going to open this up a little bit so I have a V shape. And then next thing I do, I like to use a ring mandrel, the end of a ring mandrel to do this. A dowel will work just fine as well. This is just what I usually have around, so it's what I use. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this onto the end of the ring mandrel and push it up a little bit, and then push those two wires over on either side to make my leaf shape. And if you want to, like if you take it and kind of squeeze at the bottom here, it'll give it a little bit more definition, like so. And so then basically the same thing as we just did with the hoop is you're going to grab one of these wires and bend it up into an angle, and then take your flat nose plier and hold on to both of these. You really want to hold these pretty tight because I have found that if you don't hold both sides of this shape, one side will end up smaller than the other one. And I want them to be as even as I possibly can get them. All right, so 2 times around. See how cute that is? It's fun. And then trim off the extra wire just like you did on the hoop. Squeeze down. I'm going to bend this the other direction, back and forth, because you could make this into a pendant if you wanted to. You could wrap beads on here if you wanted to, or just dangle one thing from the bottom. It would look really cute. So I'm bending this back this direction and trim this off about 3/8 of an inch. Take your round nose plier, roll that into a circle, and now that could be a little pendant, like you could dangle something. You could even put a tassel off the bottom of that and it would be really, really cute. And same thing as before, if you want to kind of flatten this out or strengthen it a little bit, especially if you used, like I used 16 gauge wire, so this is really strong, but maybe I used 18 gauge and it's a little bit lighter wire and you want to make it a little bit stronger, you can take it and just hammer it out just a little bit using your chasing hammer. And that will put a little bit of texture on it, but it's okay. And you could even, if you wanted to, like really, really hammer it out and make it flattened out. So see? Pretty fun. All right, now, one more shape. Now this is fun. I'm gonna show you how to use this tool. It's a wubber. These were invented by a lady named Patty Bullard, and she's just amazing, but I think that is so cool. So same thing, I'm just going to trim off about a foot of wire, and then I am going to put my wire between the jaws of the triangle wubber, and I am going to make a complete triangle. See how I did that? And then what you're going to do is you're going to open one side of the triangle. It's better to do if you have it still inside here. And then I'm going to open up the other side. And the farther I open it, the bigger kite I'll have. So, pretty cool, huh? I like this one. This one's really, really fun to design with too, because you can dangle things off the bottom, you can wrap things in here, you can wrap things across this, and it just looks fantastic. So now you have to decide like how long or big you want your kite to be. So maybe I want to open it up a little bit more, make it a little bit bigger, and then squeeze these two guys in. See how that works? And then you want to finish it the same way we finished the other guys. So I'm just going to take it right there where it crisscrosses and bend that up into an angle. Hold both sides and wrap the wire around, just like so, 2 times, and finish that off. Okay, and then we're just going to trim off the extra wire at the back, and I'm going to squeeze these together just a little bit because they got just a little bit loose. There we go. And then I'm going to bend that off to the side, trim off this about 3/8 of an inch again so I can make my loop at the top. Round nose plier and roll into a loop. Now I have a kite, a leaf, and a hoop. Pretty cool. This one's probably my favorite. I love it. I'm gonna hammer it out just a little bit. And I've done different designs. It's cute if you put little wraps down here on the bottom, like you could put a couple turquoise here, a couple turquoise here, and then maybe a drop or something off the bottom. It's fun to fill it halfway up with all kinds of different beads, different colors, just really cute. You can do the same types of things with these. I like to wrap beads around the outside and around the insides of these. And these, there's so many different things you can do. You can wrap beads along one side of it if you want to, across the center, dangle a tassel, whatever you like. Lots of fun, great design ideas. I hope you guys liked learning how to form shapes out of wire. Don't forget the tools and supplies that you need to be successful doing this technique. You're gonna need a round nose plier, a chain nose or a flat nose plier, and a flush cutter. And then it's really great to have some shape forming tools like a mandrel. This is a bracelet mandrel, and this is a ring mandrel, which I love. And then I also have a specialty forming tool. This is a wubber that is a triangle shape, which was great for making our kite. Additionally, it's a good idea to have for any metalworking a bench block and a chasing hammer, and I have my favorite, my rawhide hammer. As far as supplies are concerned, you really just need some heavier gauge wire like the 16 gauge that I used today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you'd like to pick up some supplies like the ones we worked with today, check out the links down below. What's the craziest shape you can imagine making out of wire? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.